It's been raining a lot here in Barbados. Yeah. But I think we are anticipating a storm. You know, we are in hurricane season. So very soon we'll be having a storm. It rained yesterday night very heavily. And it's still raining. We have rainy days. Rainy days. This is my favorite kind of weather. So this is how everything looks outside. You see, the skies are very unfriendly. Yeah. And the neighborhood is very silent. Very, very silent. Which means that people have barricaded themselves inside the house. Yeah. So had this storm is called Bret. But a few years ago, was it in 2022 or 2021? I think it's 2021. We were hit by Hurricane Elsa. Yeah, so a few properties were destroyed. Some people were displaced from their homes. Their homes were destroyed. Yeah, so those who had the trees that had fruits, the hurricane shook the trees that had fruits and the fruits fell down. So people went at losses. Yeah. Some who had trees close by to their house, the trees fell on their houses. You find that now they had to be rained on. Yeah. With those strong winds, where will you go after your house is destroyed in the midst of a storm? It's so terrible. Yeah, so a storm or a hurricane are part of disasters, and it calls upon for people to be prepared for them. Yeah. Usually the meteorological department normally gives a warning. Yeah, there's an impending hurricane or there's an impending storm. So how prepared are you? No one can prevent a disaster. Yeah, they do happen. And some of them are natural disasters. But you can prepare for them. Yeah, preparing for a catastrophe will help protect yourself, your family, and your home. Yeah. How do you prepare for a disaster? So I normally recommend you to have an emergency kit. Yeah, emergency kit will be something that is not water permeable, yeah, or waterproof, that can help store the things that you need that are vital at that moment. So this might involve having clean water. You know, maybe water supply might be cut. So you might not have access to water, or water, depends with the pronunciation. So ensure that you store enough clean water to be used during the time. Yeah, so in this case we are talking about the hurricane. Yeah, ensure you have water, and also have non-perishable foods like canned vegetables, beans. You might also have drinks like juice. Yeah. What else? There are some foods that last longer, or non-perishable. Something like apples. Yeah, they can last for some days. Yeah, they're good. They can take you through. Yeah. But it depends with the non-perishable foods that you can access or you can have access to. Yeah, and also there will be interruption with the electricity. Yeah, of course, most of the times you'll find that the electric poles will fall. The wires might touch each other and blow the fuse in the transformers, and you find that you are out of light. So have other sources of light like candles or candles, flashlights. Yeah, they might help. I don't know about lanterns, but they might actually help. Yeah, lanterns too. So those who have electric stoves, as I said, you might have interruption with the electricity, which means that you cannot cook. So that's the other importance of having non-perishable foods. Yeah. Also have a first aid kit, yeah, and a medical supply. Sometimes people might be injured. Maybe someone might get a cut and you need to arrest bleeding. Yeah. So ensure maybe you have a clean gauze or clean piece of clothes that can help arrest bleedings. And also sometimes we might recommend people to know how to do CPR. Yeah. In case someone suddenly falls ill and the heart stops. Yeah. So you might apply or do CPR to help restore blood supply, especially to vital organs like the brain. So we also recommend for people to know how to perform CPR. Yeah, and a good CPR, they normally say is 100 to 110 compressions per minute. Almost the same rate as the heart rate. Yeah, sometimes you may need sanitary products like toilet paper. You may need soap, disinfectant, trash bags. Yeah, and also you might need local maps. Don't assume that you know your way around. Maybe you are new to this area and you do not know the escape route. So maps might help, or maybe it might be during the dark. There's a lot of darkness and you don't know where you are going, so a map might come in handy. So you might also need maps or local maps. You might also need dry clothing and blankets. Yeah, call your friends, find out how they're doing, ask them if they're safe. Yeah, and if their shelter is not stable, you can accommodate them. Yeah, and the most important thing that I was also forgetting is that you should follow the updates on TVs, radios. Yeah, as getting emergency warnings and alerts. So follow the updates on TV and radios. It's part of our preparation. It is also recommended to have a small radio that uses batteries. Yeah, so that you can follow the updates on the news once they announce on the radio. Yeah, it's also one vital thing or important thing you should have. So ensure that you have the emergency number. I think most countries have a hurricane response team or disaster response team. Yeah, whatever kind of disaster, be it natural or that might result as that might occur as a result of human activities. I think there are disaster response team in each country or in many countries. So have the emergency number in case something happens. You might think you are safe and maybe there's a tree standing beside your house. The hurricane knocks it over, falls on your tree. Now you are being rained on and being exposed to the effects of the hurricane, like strong winds. Yeah, so do not assume you are safe. Something can happen. You might even have your roof blown away. So have emergency number so that in case such a thing happens, yeah, you can call the emergency number and the hurricane response team or disaster response team can come and help. And also, prior to this disaster happening, if you know you'll be affected, it's good to just start looking for another place where you'll vacate to before the disaster occurs. The Bible normally says that the shrewd one sees danger and conceals himself. That's in the book of Proverbs. Yeah, that's Proverbs 22. You know, don't exactly know the verse, but it's in Proverbs 22. The shrewd one sees danger and conceals himself. Yeah, so if you see an impending danger, vacate and go and look for a place where you can stay for a while until the hurricane has ceased or the disaster has ceased. Yeah, that is it that I wanted to share with you, and I think there's some important information that I will attach to this video. And thanks for listening, and ensure that you're safe wherever you are. Thank you. Other than that, pray for each other. Your prayers are needed. Yeah, show concern. If others reach to you, please be willing to help. Yeah. So your prayers are very important. Pray for each other.
Good afternoon, Barbadians. Based on the latest report issued just moments ago by the Met Office, Barbados remains under storm watch. While we were not expecting any significant weather during the day, we have already had reports of some heavy gusts across the island, reports of a fallen tree in Dunlow Lane, which resulted in damage to a house. Fortunately, there have been no personal injuries sustained. As the system gets closer, we're expecting a worsening of weather conditions from around 6 p.m. this evening. What does this mean for Barbadians? It means that you can expect sustained winds between 20 to 35 miles per hour and with gusts reaching storm force. This can potentially cause some roof damage to compromised structures, fallen electricity poles, and up to 2 inches of rain and consequent flooding in some very well-known flood-prone areas. Conditions are expected to continue like this throughout the night as the system passes north of the island. Out of an abundance of caution, we've already advised that schools will close at 1 p.m. so that our school children can be off the roads relatively early and parents can make arrangements for them to be collected or to make their way home. As many of you are aware, there were a number of exams that took place today, and we wanted to ensure that those students were obviously facilitated. Cabinet took a further briefing from the Met Office just moments ago as well, where we are satisfied that the conditions now merit a cessation of public transportation at 5 p.m. In other words, the last bus will leave the terminal at 5 p.m. As a consequence, we've also advised that all non-essential government services will close at 2:30 p.m. We're strongly advising all persons to be off the road by 6 p.m. And if you do not have to be on the road, please stay at home and take all necessary precautions to ensure your safety. This is also a time to check on your elderly neighbors and people living in the neighborhood who are vulnerable, to ensure that they have all that they need, and in the event that they need to reach out for any assistance, that you're able to provide it. Let us be our brother's keeper. We have taken a number of precautions over the course of the last 48 hours to reduce the flooding in a number of the flood-prone areas, particularly in the north where the system is intending to pass. And we have also put systems in place to pump off excess water as the need arises. Category 1 shelters are ready to be put into action as needed, and the list of those shelters is available on the gisbarbados.com website. We've also started to haul up the boats from yesterday, and that is continuing throughout the day today. By now, many of you may have realized that St. Lucia is under hurricane watch, and we are ever mindful that these systems have the potential to develop further. As we ride out this system, let us keep our brothers in St. Lucia and all of the other islands that may be in the path of this system in our prayers. I ask Barbadians as well to pay attention to reliable media sources for information on this system. There's a lot of negative information, a lot of fake news that is circulating in the public domain, and therefore it is important that you pay attention and listen to the radio for the regular updates which may come out from the Government Information Service or GIS. Thank you, and God bless and stay safe.